You are now tuned in to the 411 for your fantasy football with your host, Autumn Wind Williams.
What's going on, everybody? This is your boy Autumn Wind Williams, and this is the 411 for your fantasy football. We are now in week 11 for the NFL Draftkings Fanduel Yahoo lineup building. Talking about the main lineup where I provide you a quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end, and defense. If you want to put it in the lineup that you're building, like I am, go ahead and try. But don't forget to like, subscribe, share the video, comment below, click the bell icon at the top so you know when I'm making a video, because you know I make them kind of late on Saturdays. I definitely had to make this one late because I'm checking Twitter, Sleeper app, all kind of things as far as research to see if I can find any news on the quarterback that I want to play, but it does not look like he's actually gonna play, and it's depressing. Nah, I'm not depressing, but I got other choices. But before I made the video, I wanted to give y'all a guarantee or not if he's gonna play or play tomorrow, and it's not looking good. I'm gonna just let you know who it is. It's PJ Walker. Now I'm getting news that Carolina Panthers, they had some practice today. PJ Walker was doing fine, and Matt Rule wants to wait till near game time to announce who his quarterback is going to be, whether it's going to be Greer, Bridgewater, or PJ Walker. So I'm going to be looking at my phone a lot tomorrow morning, hoping that I can build this lineup, because I know he didn't do that great last week when he came in for Bridgewater, but Bridgewater's dealing with an MCL. I don't think they should play him. If you want to play your quarterback for the rest of the season, let him sit out a game. Especially when they're going against the Lions. The Lions is not looking good right now. They got so many players out with injuries. Amendola's out with a hip. Galladay's still out with a hip. DeAndre Swift with a concussion, late concussion. I think it happened in practice, Wednesday? So many guys is out, man. They really don't have any offense this week. And I'm like, why don't they just sit Bridgewater, let PJ Walker go out there and do his thing? Because if the Detroit Lions offense is hurting, their defense is going to have to be on the field a whole lot more, and their defense is going to weaken from being on that field so long, so many times on 3 and outs. So I think they should just play PJ Walker because he's cheap and I want to play him. Yeah, even on my daily fantasy, I got him on my bench spot, hoping that I get to play him this season. But it is what it is. If not, then hey, I'm going to provide you another quarterback later on in this video. I built a backup lineup just in case. But if PJ Walker plays on this lineup, at my running back position, I got J.D. Mckissick of the Washington football team. Alex Smith is targeting his running backs, Mr. Dink and Dunk. Well, even though I gave Derek Carr that name before, Alex Smith fit that name kind of perfect last week. Miss McKissick, he didn't get much carrying. He only got 6 yards. He got a touchdown, and I'm looking at he was targeted 15 times. He got 7 catches. He only got 43 yards. But I'm looking at the possibility, the potential, how Alex Smith is utilizing his running backs, Antonio Gibson and J.D. McKissick. I mean, he's throwing the ball to McLaurin and Steve Sims. He utilizing his tight end too. That's true. But the ability that J.D. McKissick have, I think it can go a long way. He was even targeted last week. Let me pull up the numbers from last week. That's a second right here. All right, let's look for our boy J.D. McKissick. All right. Last week, the week before, J.D. McKissick was targeted 9 times. No, 14 times. and he caught the ball 9 times. So last week he got what, 17.9 fantasy points. The week before, 17.2. So it's working well with Alex Smith and J.D. McKissick. So that's why I'm gonna have him in my main lineup right here if P.J. Walker plays. And if P.J. Walker plays, I'm playing Robbie Anderson. Have you been listening to a lot of podcasts, Sirius Radio, YouTube, uh, DFS analysts? I'm sure you already know Matt Rule, Robbie Anderson, PJ Walker history at Temple, yada 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 yada. That's true. But I'm looking at Robbie Anderson likes that. PJ Walker likes to throw that ball deep. We saw in XFL. I'm a big XFL guy. I was following the Houston Roughnecks every week. PJ Walker was the MVP. They probably would have won a championship if the COVID-19 didn't never happen and the season had to end. But I believe that he's going to target Robbie Anderson deep down the field. You saw when PJ Walker came in the game last week, he was throwing deep. I don't know who he was throwing to. I haven't rewinded that tape back. But I think his first play was a good, 40, 50 yards he was trying to throw down the field. Didn't get complete, unfortunately. But that's what he's thinking about. Throw that ball deep for a touchdown. Make it happen. Robbie Henderson would be a perfect guy for him to target downfield. And, it just sounds like it's going to work, man. Under the Matt Rule system, I just think they can make it happen tomorrow. You know, um, I just want to see it going against the Lions. I don't think the Lions can handle it, man. At wide receiver, at tight end, man. I don't think that many people been that happy this week. Any other week outside of this week on Fanduel. If you play Fanduel, because usually every single week we're trying to find that one guy at mid price that has huge upside. And this week they have a quarterback at the tight end position, Taysom Hill. You gotta play him on Fanduel. The only way it's not going to pay off is like, say he get injured the first or second series, which can happen, any given Sunday. But I'm just looking at the potential. You have Taysom Hill playing quarterback, and look at that. If I'm playing, say PJ Walker's playing, I got him at a cheap price at quarterback. I got Taysom Hill at a cheap price as a tight end who is actually a quarterback. I can pay up all kind of ways. And I got J.D. McKissick at running back. He's at what? Medium price. I can really do some things with my lineup on FanDuel if that happened. But I'm just looking at how, say, Taysom Hill only get throw for one passing touchdown. Say that Jameson Winston came in and threw him a touchdown. And then say he do a quarterback sneak at the goal line. That's 3 touchdowns. I'm sorry for the Alvin Kamara people out there that want to play Alvin Kamara, but I feel like it's going to cut his touches short, or catches short too, because Taysom Hill runs the ball a lot. Michael Thomas might get the ball. Emmanuel Sanders, and also another guy that I'm about to mention at tight end that I'm playing on Draftkings and Yahoo, Jared Cook at tight end, true tight end for the New Orleans Saints. So that's what I'm trying to do with this lineup. Kind of like Galaxy braining it a little bit with 2 quarterbacks and, kind of, I don't know, doing a little bit different on DraftKings and FanDuel, playing Jared Cook. So since guys aren't paying attention to him, it's going to be lower ownership because most people are focused on Taysom Hill or Mark Andrews. So I'm just looking at different ways where my lineups is not going to be really matching everybody else's, where say if I do make it at the top, we're not sharing the jackpot. And that's what you got to do. You got to try to think outside the box, different ways where you can get guys with high potential at upside and get you at number one, man. That's what we playing for. We're playing to win it all, not just mid cash or barely cash, or lose. That's definitely what we don't want to do. But yeah, those are two tight ends I'm playing. FanDuel, I got Taysom Hill. Since the chalk, he's what, 70-80% on probably. Everybody's going to be playing him, so it's like you have to play him at least some. I'm not saying on all your lineups. Some people might be doing that. I know I'm not, because anything can happen, but you have to play him in some lineups that you feel have the potential to make it to the top. Because if you don't, and then say you play another 4,500 tight end, or maybe even Mark Andrews, and then they bust, and everybody played Taysom Hill is way at the top winning money, and they differentiated their lineups different positions where it's not matching, you out of luck. So just research. I even looked on YouTube earlier this morning at Taysom Hill highlights, and I saw some interesting stuff. It's about 30-minute long video of plays from Taysom Hill in the NFL. I didn't even look at college, but he got 30 minutes highlights, so that tells you a lot. He's on that field, man. So consider playing him on FanDuel. And Draftkings, I might play him in cash because he's going to be heavily owned, and he's cheap, and I can pay up elsewhere. So that's what I have at tight end. Defense, I'm going with the Washington football team. I mean, why not? When you have Joe Burrow, who gets sacked a lot because his offensive line is not strong, he's still a rookie. Washington football team is dangerous. They're really tough. And just look at Joe Burrow last week. He only got, 12.52 fantasy points against another good defense, Pittsburgh Steelers. Even look at the game on week 7 where they were going against the Cleveland Browns. He threw for 3 touchdowns, but he also got 3 fumbles. He also threw an interception. For the season, he got 5 interceptions that he threw. 5. And, that offensive line is not to be trusted. His lowest fantasy point day was against the Baltimore Ravens, another good defense. He only got 6.32 fantasy points in week 5. So that shows his offensive line can't handle an elite defense. And I think Washington football team is an elite defense. So you can definitely play them guys against the Cincinnati Bengals. So yeah, that's what I have for this lineup if PJ Walker plays. These are the core guys I'm putting in it. PJ Walker at quarterback, JD McKissick, Robbie Anderson stacked up with the quarterback. On FanDuel, Taysom Hill. On Draftkings and Yahoo, Jared Cook. And at defense, Washington football team. Now, for a backup lineup, I'm about to give you these guys. Since I like Washington football team so much, I want an onslaught. Almost want an onslaught against the Bengals, but I'm not. I'm going to focus on their offense on this lineup. I'm going to play Alex Smith. Reason why? He threw 55 times last week and completed 38. Yeah, they were mainly dinking dunks to his running backs that I was talking about earlier, but he does throw to McLaurin. He got Steve Sims. He throw to Logan Thomas. He's completing passes, man. He's not getting touchdowns, but he's completing passes. And he got 390 yards. So you're going to get a 300-yard bonus on DraftKings too if you're playing him. But I just hope he can at least put up a couple touchdowns and and complete those yards, even if it's dink and dunks. I'm worried about is like I remember one year when he was with the Kansas City Chiefs, they went so long, man, on the whole entire season where they couldn't complete a passing touchdown for nothing. I mean, he was getting fantasy points, but for some reason, they could not complete a touchdown. He only threw for one touchdown this year. What was that? Let me see. What week? I don't even. When did he throw for a touchdown? Yeah, week 9. Week 9. So, week before last against the Giants. So, against the Giants, he threw for one touchdown. He did okay then. 17 fantasy points. Last week, he got 19 fantasy points. So, at a price on, say, Draftkings 5,300 and your quarterback gets you 19 fantasy points, that's all right, I guess, without any touchdown. I just don't want him to have a game like week 5 where he had 17 attempts and only completed 9 and got 1.58 fantasy points. So, this is a risky move that I'm doing with Alex Smith, but I'm just looking at how he's playing against Cincinnati Bengals. They're not good on defense either, and that's the reason I want to onslaught. I don't know. I might put in a little bit more money to onslaught. You know, I don't know. It's tempting. It's really tempting to onslaught this game against the Bengals. But let me tell you, at running back on this lineup, I have Adrian Peterson. Reason why they're going against, well, reason why is, Panthers is going against an offense that does not have an offense right now. You got Matthew Stafford, where his thumb is messed up, his throwing thumb. So that's telling you right there. They're not going to be throwing the ball that much. And guys saying, no, Kerryon Johnson is going to get the ball, but Kerryon Johnson catches the ball more than he gets handoffs. They go to Adrian Peterson for handoffs. So they're going to be trying to run the ball unless they get behind, 2 or 3 touchdowns, and then they have no choice but to throw the ball. And when they throw the ball, I think Adrian Peterson was catching some this year. Let me look. Let me wait a minute. Let me see. I think he caught some passes. Well, let me rephrase that. He was getting some, not a lot. He only got targeted one time last week, but he got targeted 5 times in week 9, and he completed 3. He didn't get that many fantasy points, but he wasn't out there that much either. They had multiple running backs then. Now they are out with DeAndre Swift. It's only Kerryon Johnson and Adrian Peterson. I know a lot of people don't want to play him too because he's old, but hey, this old man is still putting in work. He's representing for his old guys. But so I'm going to play Adrian Peterson because you can run on Carolina also. So why not? It's better to take that chance when he's only 4,000 on DraftKings, and that's a free square right there. I remember last week. I think it was a couple guys where they were 4,000 free square, and everybody was salivating over it. You got Adrian Peterson that's going to be playing against a bad defense. Why not? So I'm going to do it in this lineup as a backup. And at wide receiver, I have T. Higgins. I know I done talked all kind of crap about offensive line for Cincinnati Bengals is not good and how many fantasy points Joe Burrow had. But I'm going to take my chance. If I'm going to stack in this game with Alex Smith, I have to have somebody to bring it back. And Joe Burrow likes throwing to T. Higgins. And let's look at his numbers right now. Let's see. T. Higgins got, last week, he was targeted 9 times and completed 7 passes. Completed 7 catches. Week before, 9 times, completed 6. Week before, 5 times, targeted, completed all five. Week six, no, 8 times he was targeted, completed six. So it's like a trend, you know. I can keep on going. I can keep on going every single week. Only week he wasn't really getting nothing targeted towards him was week one against the Chargers. You know, this guy, he's really been a monster on the field for the Cincinnati Bengals, and I think he's taken over that role that AJ Green used to have. Um, some people might want to play AJ Green because he's cheap. I think he got a good matchup, but I just feel like T Higgins can go out there and put in that work. Tyler Boyd, AJ Green, they get targets, but I don't know. I just see T Higgins doing a lot more, man, and I feel like Joe Burrow trusts him a lot. They both rookies, and they're new to the system, and they're just creating their legacy, um, being a new face of the Cincinnati Bengals. So I'm definitely going to take my chances playing uh, Kenny Higgins. I mean T Higgins, knowing he can go out there and possibly get a couple touchdowns. All right, at tight end, I'm going to play the chalky guy, priced all the way at the top. All the tight ends real cheap. This lineup is not going to have Taysom Hill. Like I said, some lineups I'm going to have to differentiate just in case Taysom Hill busts, or say Jared Cook busts too. Whole New Orleans Saints can have a bad game, even though they're going against the Atlanta Falcons, who's last at tight end, I believe. But this lineup, I'm going to be playing Mark Andrews from the Baltimore Ravens. Reason why: Lamar Jackson, he don't have that many people he can target. So he goes to Mark Andrews a whole lot more than he does with anybody else. Marquise Brown, he's not having a good season. Um, Andrews, he's not doing like last year, let's say. But last week he got 9 targets, completed 7, got 13.1 fantasy points on Draftkings. So if your tight end can get 9 targets and complete 7 of them and get 61 yards, and you don't want to play him when they're 4,900 on DraftKings, you need to quit playing DFS. Bottom line, you need to just quit playing DFS. It's not for you. Stick to year-long fantasy, or just sit down and watch the game. Bottom line, that's all I gotta say. I don't care how chalky he is. He matches my lineup perfectly. I'm going to play him. And at defense, I'm going to play the Minnesota Vikings going against the Dallas Cowboys. Yeah, I done looked at how cheap Dallas Cowboys is as far as their receivers, and Ezekiel Elliott on DraftKings is cheap. They got Andy Dalton. Andy Dalton is a guy who has potential to have a good game, but what has Andy Dalton really been doing for like at least the past 2 years? Failing. He has not been producing, man. Pull up the numbers. you know, I mean, he's not producing at all. Um, he got what, 3.6 fantasy points in week 7. I know he got injured. His highest was 13.4 in week 6. Week before, no, week 5, he got 3.44 fantasy points. He's not producing. And what's scary is too with Dallas Cowboys, they can't really get Zeke any get fantasy points either. If you see Andy Dalton having bad games like that, you would expect that the Cowboys would still be trying to produce that running the ball, dink and dunking when they far behind. But Ezekiel Elliott is only getting what, 8.9, 8.3 6.1 the past three games that they played, and 14 fantasy points in week 6. And I think that's the week where Dak got injured. I don't know what's going on with Zeke. Um, so we can't rely on dink and dunks right there from Andy Dalton. I know I might play one Cowboys lineup, but I'm going to play the Vikings on defense against the Cowboys. Mari Cooper, he got 12.5 fantasy points last week. When Dalton was out there, week 6, he got 20.9 fantasy points. Yeah. What's that, Dak? Okay, 15.5 week 7. But I mean, the rest of the guys, CeeDee Lamb. Okay, CeeDee Lamb didn't do much except for last week, week 6. Yeah, I think Dak week was week 6. Week 7 is when Dalton came in. He got 0.1 fantasy points on 5 targets. Gallup, I think he has potential. Week 7, he got 0 fantasy points too. Week 8, he got 13.1. My point is, Andy Dalton, man, he's not producing enough to where these guys can get touchdowns. And I don't know. It just doesn't look right. I know Minnesota Vikings, guys don't like to play them because, I know at the beginning of the season, everybody they're a bad football team on defense and blah, blah, blah. Last 2 games they played, week 9, they got 9 fantasy points. They was going against Detroit. Another bad offense. Last week against the Bears, I knew it was going to be more defensive, but I didn't expect them to get 10 fantasy points. So, they did good last week. They got an interception, defensive fumble, 2 sacks. I feel all right playing them. They only had 3,300. So why not? So that's what I have for you guys on this lineup. So I gave you 2 lineups. One for PJ Walker, one for Alex Smith. The Alex Smith lineup has Adrian Peterson at running back, T. Higgins at wide receiver, Mark Andrews at tight end, and the Vikings defense. This has been the 411 for your fantasy football for week 11 for Draftkings, Fanduel, and Yahoo. Before you close this video, make sure you like, subscribe, comment below, click the bell icon so you know when I'm making another video, especially with Thanksgiving coming up this week. Likely I'm going to be making more than one video, so you want to know when I'm going to be making it, right? Click that bell icon and that'll let you know when you get an alert on your phone. Until then, you guys, I wish you the best. Hope you make a lot of money. Stay blessed. Peace. Stay safe. I'm out.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the 411 Podcast. Now get ready to make that money. And don't forget to follow us on Twitter at the 411 DFS.